past lives, you've done all kinds of deeds, good and bad, and you are reaping the consequences of these deeds today. And also today you're setting up future consequences. Now, before you can be liberated, you've got to pay off your karmic debts. And so the moment you set your foot on the path of liberation, you are apt to find that all your karmic creditors will come to your door. And that's why it's often said that people who start out on a serious work suddenly get sick and lose their money and their best friends drop dead and all kinds of ghastly things happen. That's because, you see, they served notice that they were going to do this. And so all the creditors came around.
Yeah, feel the light of dawn, morning about to break. Yeah. See the shining sun, waking to the day. Help me get a thong, lead me on my way. Yeah. Headed for the heights, leaving all the pain. Riding for a fall, all will turn to gray. Rising when I'm down, on my feet again. Try to leave the night, sticking to the ground. Sick of staying stuck, tired of laying around. Still I'm making rhymes, fill another page. Wanna feel the love, step away from all the hate. Came to find the cause, thoughts into the shade. Did it for my soul, no return, I can't complain. Let it feel it though, wander in the dark. Resurrect my heart, making my escape. Calling to the sky, searching for some faith. Praying to the mic, aiming for my fate. Watch me toppled off, back onto the road. Holding to the hope that yet again I'll see your face. Feel the rising tide, pulling me away. Know I'm heading home with every step I've yet to take. Feel the light of dawn, morning about to break. See the shining sun, waking to the day. Help me get along, lead me on my way. Heading for the heights, leaving all the pain.
If you're going to leave town and you owe lots of money, you mustn't announce that you're leaving or give a farewell party to your friends, because the grocer will find out. So the art of the sly man is to make no contest, but simply to leave without one word. That's the meaning of Wu Wei in the technical vocabulary of Taoism. Wu Wei, not to interfere, not to force things. That's the best translation of Wu Wei. Not to force things. He just drops it like that.
Try to find the light inside. Try to leave behind the cold. Been attempting taking flight. I've been chasing down the gold. Break the mold, I broke the ice. Losing life to red fold. Losing hold of every light. Through the night I'm on a roll. Head out like can, now I'm feeling too full. Stick to my guns or I'll run for my life. With every move closing in on my goals. Live by the pen but don't die by the knife. Side to myself getting old. Making the most of my time. Right till I've lost all the load. Watching the world all unfold. Hiding far out of their sight. Levitate, leave it all behind. Body on the floor, leave it all. On the day I rise, shining as a soul. Let me go, wish me well, alright. Still I walk alone, on the road. On the other side, wonder where I roam. Taking off from the underground. Enter into space, leave the rocks. Headed up and out, finally escaped. Call the game, counted as a loss. Hate the masquerade, making hell for my fallen self. Aiming for the flames.
In this respect, you see, you're your own worst enemy. Because even if you serve notice privately on yourself, that suddenly you're going to drop it all. Already the devil knows. Because who do you think the devil is? Now this lies behind the whole problem that is discussed in the book Zen and the Art of Archery. The necessity of letting go of the bowstring without first deciding to do so. Another way of putting it is that the decision to release the bowstring and the action of doing so must be simultaneous. Not to decide and then act, but to act, decide all at once. Now why is this? If you are going to be an expert archer, you must shoot before you think, otherwise it will be too late. You don't aim and then shoot. It's all one action. And this is true likewise of any sort of shooting, pistol shooting as well.
Anyway I choose to go, every goal that I pursue only moves me closer to the closing chapter of the show. Everything I've come to hold will become something that I lose, so I'll learn to hold it loose and watch it passing in the flow. Hope they know I wish them well, that they didn't have that on the road. We're only dealing with what's up, and so there's not so far to fall. Never falling out of bed again, I'm sleeping on the floor. Hold my heart up at a distance, wish that I could give you more.
If you aim, if you decide and then fire, you're apt to do things like pulling the trigger instead of squeezing. All kinds of wrong things are done, and you're always a moment too late.
Come alive at night, cannot be excused, rising up to right, trying to guide the fuse, find another route, higher all the time, only passing through, find a place to hide, make a new excuse, I got shit to do. Anyway I choose to go, every goal that I pursue only moves me closer to the closing chapter of the show. Everything I've come to hold will become something that I lose, so I learn to hold it loose and watch it pass into the flow.
You have to act and decide simultaneously. So what does that do? See, that puts up a very curious problem, which in its own turn becomes a bind. To try and act quickly enough so that you overtake the preliminary decision. To try not to decide first, and that is an impossible problem. And so in the same way, you might imagine a guru who is a mind reader, and he always knows if you decide before you act. And if you do, you see, the devil will catch you. Instead, you see, of deciding that you won't be an alcoholic anymore, the only thing to do is not to drink, without any previous decision on this matter.
Got to take another loss, hope to find another goal. Watch me breaking down my wall, call me crawling out the hole. Always riding for a fall, no escaping from the flow. Drop the low, the final straw, felt the lows as I awoke. Counting the cost as I found my way home. Climb to the top just to topple below. Long way to go, so I chose to withdraw. Wait for the dawn when my pathway gets shown. Only want to take a pause, isolated from the show. Lately nothing's paying off, reaping everything I saw. Every scene that I saw, every word that I wrote, all the things that I thought, every syllable spoke. 7 songs on the path leading back to the home. On the road till we crash, always coming too close. Nothing left but to dive when it comes to a close. All the good and the bad was so that we could grow.
But how can anyone do that, you see? That's the question. How can I decide not to decide? How can I announce that I won't make any announcement without making an announcement? You see, there is no way out of that bind. Try as you may, you go on and on and on, trying to release the bowstring without thinking first to release it. But then, strangely enough, one day the thing happened. He did it. And this is involved in our learning of almost all techniques.
Every day is moving faster. Never know what's coming after. Taken in by your disaster. Supreme watcher, supreme actor. Let me ride another drive. Let me lean into the laughter. Tragedy is but the mask. We're all the captive and the captive. Made of the stars, so we grew from the earth. Part of the flame, cause we came from the bank. Flow like a wave as we make a way forth. Fly like a spark rising up into space. Purge our hearts out in the dirt. Loving what I would preserve. Leaving all of my concern. No, there's no way to diverge. Know that my soul's coming out of the night. Ineffable light at the end of the shade. Finding myself within all of my sight. Play hide and seek, that's the name of the game. Every day is moving faster. Never know what's coming after. Taken in by your disaster. Supreme watcher, supreme actor.
We work and work to achieve that final point of perfection. And it doesn't come, and then one day it happens. Now what is the reason for that? Is it simply, and this is really, the way it's usually explained, but this is an oversimplification. It is not that we have practiced it so often that it suddenly becomes perfect. It is much more subtle. What happens is that we practice so often that we find out we can't do it.
Baby, got me feeling blue. Everything I'll have to do falls like water from my grass. Change the state of flow with you. No, we're only passing through. Found a flower running laps. Looking on the future still. Can't relapse into the past. Made some space into relax. Had to get some elbow room. Cabin fever going mad. Seems there's nothing holding true. Years are flying by too fast. Memories gone missing too. Wish for something I could catch. Everything is shaking loose.
After spending a few days with him, they begin to wonder. They find he smokes cigarettes. They find that he occasionally loses his temper. And they begin to think, well, is this man so holy after all? I mean, he surely should not be dependent on these little habits and luxuries and so on. And then they find he has a girlfriend. And then they leave because they're so scandalized. Well, then the Hindus say, now you shouldn't get so upset about this, because if this man didn't have a few little vices, he would cease to manifest. He would simply disappear.
Falling out of line, balance on the blade, find it so divine. Try to find my way, missing all the time. Find outside the fate, silent by design. Writhing like a snake, left on the dawn is the way that it goes. Everything is always right in this place. Making our play to the close of the show. Hold to the hope, we'll be home in the end. All headed back to the base of the waves. Closer to hold every step that we take. Move with the grain on the way we can flow. Leaving a note on the road to the grave. Shooting my roots down below. Open my mind into space. Still climbing up towards my goals. Still building up from the base. Riding a rhyme to the base. Falling out of line, balance on the blade. Found it so divine. Try to find my way, missing all the time. Find outside the fate, started by the sun. Riding like a snake, left on the dawn is the way that it goes. Everything is always right in its place. Making our play till the close of the show. Hold to the hope, we'll be home in the end. All headed back to the base of the waves. Closer to hold every step that we take. Move with the grain on the way we can flow. Leaving a note on the road to the grave. Shooting my bruise down below. Open my mind into space. Still climbing up towards my goals. Still building up from the base. Riding a rhyme to the face.
He has to have these things to keep him grounded, to keep him in the world. Or if suddenly, he gets terribly angry with a certain student and seems to lose his temper, they say, oh, no, that's a tactical anger. That he did on purpose to wake you up to something. It was for your own development, for your own good. He didn't really feel angry at all. But you see the point. There is something in the fact that if he didn't have these little attachments, he wouldn't be manifesting. He'd simply disappear. There's something in that. Okay? Don't take it too piously. I think you get the point.
Get on my level, then fought in the tomb. Speak of the devil, they'll walk in the room. Empty my vessel, the body exhumed. Still nothing special, the tempting to bloom. Doom in the dark as I stride in the gloom. Soon to embark when I fly the cocoon. True to my heart, try to keep it in tune. Fueling the spark as the fire consumes. Go down in flames, cutting me loose. Get up again, chasing the moon. Sun on the rise, shining light on our doom. Nothing to bite in the night, we refuse. Have a little patience while I'm banking on the boom. Always feeling anxious, every moment feeling new. Working on my cadence, run my playlist in review. Healing my vibration, isolated, passing through. Get on my devil, then fall in the tomb. Speak of the devil, don't walk in the room. Empty my vessel, the body exhumed. Still nothing special, the tempting to bloom. Doom in the dark as I stride in the gloom. Soon to embark when I fly the cocoon. True to my heart, try to keep it in tune. Fueling the spark as the fire consumes. Go down in flames, cutting me loose. Get up again, chasing the moon. Sun on the rise, shining light on our doom. Nothing to bite in the night, we refuse. Have a little patience while I'm banking on a boom. Always feeling anxious, every moment feeling new. Working on my cadence from my playlist to review. Healing my vibration, isolated, passing through.
So then, we now have to explore a very important aspect of the Joker as equivalent to Gurdjieff's Sly Man. You see, he points out the four ways: the monk, the fakir, the yogi, and the sly man. And all the first three ways are ways of great difficulty. They involve a very, very strenuous discipline. And of course, as we get it through the books about Gurdjieff, the way of the sly man involves a discipline too.
Sound from the back of your brain, seems you've been grabbing the bait. Let me just bask in the rain, try not to snap from the strain. Forget the back in the game, let it go past through the gate. Hyperspace blasting away, active and trapped in the play. Feel like my feet made of lead, sinking, depleted, depressed. Blessing the beat with the breath, don't want to flee or defend. Needing a day for my life, sick so I spit on the mic. Scared that I'm missing my time, still need a bit to unwind. Watch how the ravel unfold, calm if you're down in the world. Stuck in the south going old, out for the count and repose. Watch how the ravel unfold, calm if you're down in the world. Stuck in the south going old, out for the count and repose. Sound from the back of your brain, seems you've been grabbing the bait. Let me just bask in the rain, try not to snap from the strain. Forget the back in the game, let it go past through the gate. Hyperspace blasting away, active and trapped in the play.
But I think there's more to be said about the way of the sly man than appears in any of those writings, because this is very closely connected with the whole approach of Taoism, the Chinese philosophy of Wu Wei, or non-aggression, and with what is called in Buddhism the middle way. When the Buddha first discussed the middle way, he put it like this. He said, to try and solve the problem of suffering by immersing yourself in pleasure only leads to a hangover. To try and solve the problem by asceticism also brings no liberation. You merely get tied up in a kind of masochism where you say, I know I'm right just so long as I'm hurting. And all that is doing is expiating your kind of infantile guilt sense. So he said there is a middle way between asceticism on the one hand and hedonism on the other. But actually, the middle way is more subtle than that, and it's beautifully discussed in a book called The Philosophy of Buddha. It works simply like this.
Help me escape, lost in the shades, sleep through the night, then awaken today. Let me and thy fly from the maze, rise to the sky when we break from the clay. Help me escape, lost in the shade, sleep through the night, then awaken today. Let me and thy fly from the maze, rise to the sky when we break from the clay. Split from the one into two, light of the sun in my view. Lucid was stunned by the truth, stuck on the run to it through. When I'm in love I'll pursue, when I'm askew I'll withdraw. Root till I'm feeling renewed, right till I'm right with the y'all. Call to the void from the booth, reaching far out of my view. Almost completed the queue, nothing remains to construe. Leaving the game when I drop, making the play till I fall. Meet in the back of the stage, after we pass from this plane. Help me escape, lost in the shade, sleep through the night, then awaken today. Let me and thy fly from the maze, rise to the sky when we break from the clay. Help me escape, lost in the shade, sleep through the night, then awaken today. Let me and thy fly from the maze, rise to the sky when we break from the clay. Split from the one into two, light of the sun in my view. Lucid was stunned by the truth, stuck on the run to it through. When I'm in love I'll pursue, when I'm askew I'll withdraw. Brood till I'm feeling renewed, right till I'm right with the y'all.
The student brings a problem to the teacher, and he says, I suffer, and it's a problem to me. And the teacher says, you suffer because you desire. If you didn't desire, you wouldn't suffer. So try not to desire. And the student goes away and says, I'm not very successful in this. I can't stop desiring. It's terribly difficult. And furthermore, I find that in trying to stop desiring, I'm desiring to stop desiring. Now, what am I to do about that? And the teacher replies, do not desire to stop desiring any more than you can. And so the student goes away and practices that. But he comes back to the teacher and says,
melody from my mind, help the rest to dissolve remedy. When I write out a fine word I brought at the G to the time that we spent in the mob. Being eaten and died by the time we evolve from the rocks to ascend to the stars. Got involved, I revolve and I'm caught staying fucked. Let it rise, let it drop from the sky to the floor. On the day that we fall, we're absorbed of the pot. Not a problem to solve, but the song to absorb. Let it rain, let it pour, no we'll weather the storm. Born from the yard, springing up from the blood. Sparks from the heart of the flame flying forth.
I still find myself desiring excessively to stop desiring, and it doesn't work. So the teacher says, do not desire too much, not to desire, to stop desiring.
Right in the sky with the might, break like a wave on the shore. Light to ignite with them dive. Fate is too great to ignore. Melody from my mind, help the rest to dissolve remedy. When I write out a fine word I brought at the G to the time that we spent in the mob. Being eaten and died by the side. We evolved from the rocks to ascend to the stars. Got involved, I revolve and I'm caught staying fucked. Let it rise, let it drop from the sky to the floor. On the day that we fall, we're absorbed of the pot. Not a problem to solve, but the song to absorb. Let it rain, let it pour, no we'll weather the storm. Born from the yard, springing up from the world. Sparks from the heart of the flame flying forth.
Now, do you see what's happening? Step by step, the student is being brought together with himself to the point where he catches up with his own inner being and can accept it completely. And that is, you see, the most difficult thing to do, to accept oneself completely. Because the moment you can do that, you have in effect done psychologically what is the equivalent of saying in philosophical or theological terms, you as you are now are the Buddha, just as I was explaining a few minutes ago. That's unbelievable, because we're always trying to get away from ourselves as we are now, in one fashion or another.
Tired of the role, active in the play. Try to shed some light, setting fire to the stage. Wallow in the mind, try to find my way. Nothing to acquire, find there's nothing to be gained. All inside the mind, show of light that we create. Feel the pulling tide compelling forward to my fate. Stumble through the night until I fall into a grave. Rising from the night, breaking out into the day.
will only stop doing that through a series of experiments in which we try resolutely to get away from ourselves as we are. So that is the middle way. But ordinarily, in these other ways, the way of the yogi, the fakir, and the monk, the individual makes a big thing out of the work of liberation, and especially likes the kind of teacher who will put him through the most severe paces. It's interesting how there arise from time to time schools in the West. People say, look, it's all very well to go to discussion groups and talk about these things, but that's not the real thing. What you need is really to get down and do some work.
Right in my life, let me coast on a roll. Waters are calm, let me rest in the peace. Breathe it up in and my heart's feeling full. Take up the pen and I'm free and release. Feeling my soul, the next thing to be said. Fake all the ways, the game of the beast. More to the play with the message to spread. Break me to shake off the dust from my feet. Wait, cause it's time for something to be done. Running around on a loop, I repeat. Take to your heels with the sound of the gun. Escape from the south and be drowned in the deep. Wait, cause it's time for something to be done. Running around on a loop, I repeat. Take to your heels with the sound of the gun. Escape from the south and be drowned in the deep. Pause to find a vow. Falling fell asleep. Need to let it out, the things I've seen inside my dreams. Keep me on the ground, upward steadily. Head inside the clouds, I'm rising out of all beneath. Riding my life, let me coast on a roll. Waters are calm, let me rest in peace. Breathe it out in and my heart's feeling full. Take up the pen and I'm free and release. Feeling my soul, then I seem to be said. Fake all the ways, the game of the beast. Walk to the play with the message to spread. Break me to shake off the dust of my feet.
And often these teachers are very rude and very stern, but people love it. And such a person will always attract a great following. Because people get the feeling, now we're at serious business here. This is really something, you see. And this, you see, though, can be an awful problem. Let's suppose that you have some difficult and distressing habit, like drinking too much. And you're assured that once you've become the victim of this habit, it's an extraordinarily difficult thing to get rid of it, and it requires intense willpower. And so that kills you right off. You're a dead duck from then on.
Time to write the final line. Fuse the phrases on the page, elevated by the rhyme. Closing note from lucid shade. Try to give the world some hope. Hope you know you make the dive. Live the dive until the close. Drop the weight, escape the night. Wishing for a little live. Need to leave the past behind. Washing out into the drift. Nobody here gets out alive. Try creating some repose for my own soul. Feeling thoughts. Only leave behind the bones and let you go before you rot. Nothing better than before. I walk away with nothing gained. Never sold the faith, the more to space, attaining strength. Strength to fall, the strength to stand, the strength to fail, get up again. Castles toppled off, forgotten, shattered, statue in the sand. Strength to fall, the strength to stand, the strength to fail, get up again. Castles toppled off, forgotten, shattered, statue in the sand. Time to write the final thought. Fusing phrases on the page, elevated by the rhyme. Closing note from lucid shade.
It's as if, you see, you had said to the devil one morning, look, I'm going to get rid of you. I'm not going to have anything to do with you anymore. So the devil, who is an archangel and is terribly clever, is all set for you. And because he knows that you are getting out of his way, he surrounds you with greater temptations than you ever imagined. If you are going to outwit the devil, it's terribly important that you don't give him any advance notice. In this respect, you see, you're your own worst enemy. Because even if you serve notice privately on yourself, that suddenly you're going to drop it all.
Already the devil knows. Because who do you think the devil is?